this news of an AN-32 transport aircraft of the Indian Air Force that has met with an accident at the Jorhat Air Force Station in Assam. Pictures are grim, and of this military aircraft that crashed at the Air Force Station that prompted immediate rescue operations. However, it is still unclear as to what may have happened as far as what led to this crash. But what is being said, that attempt to land is when something that the impact happened, and then there was an explosion. And however, the rescue operations and the team of firefighters there are being reported at the site. This is being reported at the Air Force Station itself in Jorhat in Assam. So still no information on the pilots or on the crew, how many were on board, and further details are awaited on the rescue and the investigative efforts that continue at the site. So pictures there, you know, it's split right in the middle if you're looking at the pictures there, Mayank. And that itself talks about, you know, how big would have been the impact when it touched the ground.
It flies whenever it is in air. It's almost at 500 kilometers, but then approaching speed is generally lower. So, but then the kind of impact we can see and the disintegration of the body, fuselage, it really paints a grim picture. The other point is actually last accident, which took place was in the same area, towards the same area, which is northeastern areas, and the aircraft in that case was approaching Mechuka. Mechuka is a valley between one of the valleys of 5 valleys between in the Arunachal Pradesh, and almost 13 members were on board, and we had lost them in that accident. So it's a very difficult area. But then here in this case, in particular case, the aircraft was approaching Jorhat as we had reported, and this has been officially shared with us, that this impact took place, as you have brought out, and within the periphery of the airbase there, Amita.
Yes, so it remains to be seen, because we are still awaiting an official statement on part of the Indian Air Force on when it comes to the pilot, how many were there on board, and details regarding any crew members on board, however, is something which is not immediately available. But the aircraft, which is identified as an AN-32 carrier plane, reportedly went down within the vicinity of this strategically important air base, which is in Upper Assam in Jorhat. And the Indian Air Force, in this very short statement, has come out to say that the military aircraft crashed at the Air Force Station in Jorhat, Assam during landing. And this aircraft involved was an AN-32 cargo plane that is used for transporting supplies. And the accident occurred while the aircraft was attempting to land at the airbase. And this is something which is still awaited on part of the Indian Air Force to confirm if there are reports of any casualties, as the emergency teams have been rushed to the crash site, and further details that are still awaited. But when we speak of this Air Force Station, let's also speak with the Group Captain. Augustine is joining us here on the broadcast. Sir, the pictures are definitely not looking good. What do you assess, looking at them for now? What could have happened?
Thank you, Amita, for having me over. It's a very sad scene that we are seeing on the screen. In fact, just a couple of days ago, I was there at Jorhat. Okay. Jorhat is, like you correctly said, is a forward base, which, you know, for many people who don't know, supports the entire northeastern region, right from the Volong, you know, Mechuka, like the previous person was talking about. In fact, that crash he was mentioning in Mechuka, I lost a coursemate of mine in that. And I have a couple of accidents that I have seen, or all the accidents that I know of, in which, or the landing accidents of AN-32, I have not heard of a fatal crash. So this aeroplane is built like a tank. And people have walked away from even worse crash than this. So I hope people have walked away from this crash as well. A. B, most importantly, is the real cause of the accident will come out maybe 6 months, 1 year down the road. But as I can see, the bad weather or engine failure could be one of the reasons. I'm also hearing through my friends and sources that the aeroplane had an engine trouble. Now, again, that remains to be verified, but this is just through my sources that I've come to know. Another peculiarity during this season is something called hydroplaning. Right. To explain it to you, to the uninitiated, quickly, Amita, is when you throw a stone at water, you see the stone jumping over the water, isn't it? That is called the hydrodynamic lift.
Right.
Or the water kind of lifts the surface when you hit at water at a certain speed. So when the wheel contacts the ground, and if there is a water layer, then what happens is the firm contact of the wheel does not happen, and it sort of gets into snaky kind of conditions. I have had it. In fact, I have had a crash on a MiG-21 walked away. All the skin that you see is new. So,
but it's really unfortunate, sir. I'm sorry, I have to cut you short because I really have to take a short break. But we are staying with those pictures nevertheless, because despite its accident history, the aircraft remains one of the Indian Air Force's most heavily used transport platforms and continues to play a crucial role, especially when it comes to logistics and operational missions across the country. We're just going to head into a very short break, staying with the pictures on the other side.